Hey everyone, Scott here, and today an update to the banned Errata limited list was announced on the Dragon Ball Super Card Game official Facebook page. So just to get out of the way what cards are being affected, so Violent Rush Bojack is banned, Zamasu the Eliminator is being errated, as is Galactic Buster. So we'll go through now, kind of look at what Bandai's reasoning for each of those bans are, and I'll give my thoughts as to whether they make sense or not. So first up is Violent Rush Bojack, which, like I said, is outright banned. And they say the presence of this card creates additional energy that any blue-yellow deck can utilize for strong defensive plays at minimal cost. We predict this card to become over-centralizing in the upcoming and future formats. So we decided to ban it to encourage exploration of new strategies. So over-centralizing is an interesting word, but basically, I think it makes sense with the second part of the sentence there is basically they don't want all blue-yellow decks to just be the same. Just everyone is running Violent Rush Bojack. They maybe want a bit more variety between the different blue-yellow decks out there, depending on, which leader you're using maybe, or things of that nature. They just don't want every blue-yellow deck to be built around this Bojack. And again, to look at the first part, strong defensive plays at minimal cost. Again, if we look at, it's really this auto here. When this card activates Aegis blue-yellow, draw one card. So to activate Aegis, you have to discard either a blue-yellow card or a blue and a yellow card. So there's no energy cost associated with that as either. So that means the cost really is the fact you're getting rid of at least one card from your hand. Most decks that I've experienced would only get rid of one card. They'd be running enough blue-yellow cards to just discard a single card. But then this Bojack just lets you draw the card straight back and you untap 2 energy. So really all you were doing with this guy is restanding 2 energy and cycling a card, to use a magic term, getting rid of whatever the least useful blue-yellow card in your hand was at the time. Like I say, for 2 energy and drawing a card. That was probably too good, and so I guess they have to be careful in the future with the cards that they print Aegis on, because I feel like on its own Aegis isn't just good enough to see a lot of play. We've seen that even when it was first kind of released, it just didn't feel strong enough on its own. So I think cards do need effects that trigger when they activate the Aegis. They just have to be careful what type of autos they would be. Obviously, with Aegis being restricted only to blue-yellow, there's only so many things you can kind of really do with a blue-yellow card. But yeah, I think going forward it's going to be a real balancing act for them of printing cards with Aegis, and they get benefits when you activate Aegis that are strong enough to see play, but not too strong to where they're all that anyone wants to do in blue-yellow. So overall, I guess this ban makes sense when you look at it through that kind of lens. They want to encourage a bit more diversity in the blue-yellow decks that are out there at the moment. So next we will look at the changes for Zamasu the Eliminator. So they don't give you the pre and post errata text, but basically on the original card it was just any card 4 or less being played would be returned to its owner's hand, whereas now it's only the battle card being played, so this will only hit battle cards, it won't hit unisons anymore. And we can see that when we look here at the reason they're giving. This card's unique ability to stop unison cards from being played has been more disruptive than originally intended and limits viable strategies. We've decided to errata this card to only affect battle cards in order to bolster the amount of viable competitive decks and player enjoyment. So yeah, I personally never ran into this card too much hitting my unisons. Mostly I don't think it came down to the fact that no one was really doing a lot of blue-yellow in my locals once Mecha Frieza was banned. People kind of moved away from those type of decks, I guess. But yeah, I can't imagine if you try to play Unison and your opponent just counterplays it with this, like maybe even say your secret rare like the Gohanks, to just have it bounce back to your hand and you do nothing for the turn. I could see why that would be really kind of disruptive, and it would be a real feel bad moment. So even just some of the other big 3 or 4 cost unisons out there that you could play, like the Boo Agent of Destruction Unison. That'd be another one that would suck if you turn 4, you turn all your energy sideways to play it, and nope, goes straight back to your hand. Try again next turn, to where your opponent could just do it again the next turn with another Zamasu the Eliminator. So I can see why they would want to make that change. They've printed kind of counterplay disruption in other places, like the Shadow Dragons deck has that new black counterplay that affects the unisons. There's green one in the newest set, but I don't think anyone's really using it. So they have started to make counterplays that do affect unisons, but perhaps even the fact that there's so much value on this card if you can hit a big unison like that, because not only do you return it to the hand, but you play this guy, draw a card, switch a battle card to rest mode. That's a lot of value, and it's an indestructible guy as well. So for like decks that need a body on the board for some reason, or a Goku Black Zamasu deck to begin with, it's something for like maybe Union Patara. So there's a lot of value on this card, to the point that I don't think this is going to totally stop seeing play just because it doesn't hit unisons anymore. I think it hitting 4 or less battle cards is still a fine skill. That is going to hit a lot of stuff still in the meta, so it'll still be a card people play in kind of blue-yellow decks. So yeah, again, I think that's a pretty reasonable change, actually. And then the final change, again, they don't give the pre-errata text, but if we look here, it says if your leader is Bojack Brigade or mono blue card, whereas the errata, they have removed the mono blue leader part. It's just if your leader is a Bojack Brigade card. So they've limited this to only work with the 2 Bojack leaders we have at the moment, the yellow one and the blue one. So the reason that Bandai have given here is this card can be used with any blue leader card to create an energy economy surpassing its expected use. Designed as a defensive tool for blue decks, changes to the ban list for Cross Spirit and Anniversary Box have popularized this card outside of Bojack Brigade decks more than originally intended. We decided to errata this card to Bojack Brigade leader only to encourage more creative strategy for blue leaders. So again, this is another one where they're talking about the variety of strategies. It's another one where they don't want every blue deck to be running Galactic Buster pretty much as an auto include. There's already quite a few of those in blue, it seems like, with Senzu Bean, and Dementia Magic is in most blue decks, it seems like, at this point. A lot of them are running Baby Hatch as well, if they have it. So it feels like there already are like a set of cards that you need to include in a blue deck as like a baseline, and this was just another one to add to that. But it's still going to be usable where they originally kind of intended for the card to be used the most, which is the blue Bojack Brigade deck from set 13. Obviously, this is going to be disappointing for anyone who's playing any other kind of blue leader and bought up copies of this card. I know it was quite pricey there for a while, so that's not great, but overall, I guess it makes sense. Like they say, they're trying to make it so there's a bit more diversity in kind of blue strategies, it seems like, or blue-yellow strategies as well. And like they say in the actual post itself, this is also been exacerbated with some of the other recent changes they made. So like they say, this isn't something that they originally intended for the card to be used this way, to be in tons of different blue decks. Obviously, they thought that maybe it would see some play outside of the Bojack deck itself. Otherwise, why would they even make it be able to be used in mono blue leaders to begin with? But maybe they were hoping it would only be in decks where they need some kind of energy manipulation. But like I said, up to now, it was being run in most mono blue leader decks. So again, this is going to add to the kind of variety, hopefully, in blue or blue-yellow decks going forward, which seems to be what this entire ban list kind of change has been about. So yeah, other than those 3 cards, there is also the going to be 5 cards that are going to have their wording changed so that they specifically mention Kao Ken Goku. So it's cards from the upcoming set. Because the cards I mentioned, like this Kao Ken Goku Decisive Battle, it has that Kao Ken as part of its name, but they accidentally left that out of the skill text on the cards. You can see here these 5 cards So that is just a minor errata, just so that those cards work correctly. So the website is going to be updated on the 22nd of October to reflect these changes. And I believe the changes come into effect on the 5th of November, which is the intended release date of the next set, I believe. So yeah, that's it for this video. Go ahead and leave a like on it if you've enjoyed it. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel to be notified when new videos come out. And thanks for watching.